Once upon a time, in a small town nestled in the hills, there was a dog named Pippin. Pippin wasn't just any dog, he was a genius. His fur was the color of freshly brewed coffee, and his eyes twinkled with the kind of intelligence that could rival a university professor, or at least a really clever squirrel. Pippin had always known he was destined for something more than fetching sticks or barking at the mailman. While the other dogs were content with chasing their tails and rolling in mud, Pippin spent his days reading books in the local library. He had his own card, thank you very much, and contemplating the mysteries of the universe. He had even learned to speak a little bit of French, just to impress the cats in the neighborhood. One day, as Pippin watched the humans bustling about, typing on their computers and discussing important things, he had an epiphany. He didn't belong with the other animals. No, he was far too sophisticated for that. It was time for him to leave the animal kingdom behind and live among the humans. And so, Pippin packed his bags, well, actually, it was more of a fancy scarf that he wore like a shawl, and trotted off to find his new home in the human world. At first, things went swimmingly. He landed a job as a barista at the local cafe, where he became famous for his uncanny ability to make the perfect cappuccino. His latte art was so beautiful it brought tears to the eyes of customers. They thought he was simply an exceptionally skilled human with a passion for espresso. Little did they know he was a dog who had mastered the art of coffee making. But there were problems. Big problems. For one, Pippin quickly discovered that humans didn't appreciate a good belly rub the way dogs did. In fact, they seemed genuinely uncomfortable when he tried to nuzzle up to them for affection. He tried to give his coworker Karen a little tail wag one morning, but she just stared at him in confusion before whispering, Is this guy okay?" Then there was the matter of food. Pippin had always been a fan of gourmet kibble and the occasional bone. But now that he was living with humans, he had to adjust to a diet that consisted mostly of salad and quinoa. There was no meat in sight. He tried to sneak some bacon from the counter once, but his human roommates were vigilant. It was the most tragic betrayal of his culinary senses. And worst of all, Pippin found himself unable to truly connect with the humans around him. He watched them argue about the latest political scandal, debate the best way to fold a fitted sheet, and spend hours scrolling through social media, all while he simply wanted to curl up in the sun and nap. As the months went by, Pippin began to grow wistful. The humans he lived with were nice enough, but they didn't understand him. They didn't know the joy of chasing after a frisbee or rolling in a field of daisies. They didn't appreciate the simplicity of life, the way a dog did. One fateful afternoon, as Pippin sat alone in his apartment, gazing out the window at the bustling city below, he made a decision. It was time to go back to the animal kingdom. But as he packed his belongings, which, to be fair, consisted mainly of chew toys and a very luxurious bed, Pippin realized something. The humans had changed him. They had taught him the beauty of complex thoughts, the depth of human relationships, and the true meaning of puppy dog eyes, which, he had discovered, worked wonders on just about anyone. With a heavy heart, Pippin left his apartment one last time. As he stood in the doorway, he took one last look around. He was a smart dog. Too smart, perhaps, to ever truly be content in the world of the animals. And yet the world of the humans was too complicated, too chaotic. Pippin trotted back to the animal kingdom, where the dogs didn't care about quinoa or politics, and the squirrels were happy to share their acorn stash. As he ran through the meadow, he realized that while humans might be fascinating, sometimes the best place for a dog to be was exactly where they belonged. Under a tree, with a good stick and a belly full of bacon. And so Pippin lived the rest of his days as the wisest dog in the kingdom, often telling tales of his time in the human world, though he always left out the part about quinoa. Some things were just too heartbreaking to tell.